All right, so the purpose of this video is to explain to you how you go about writing the analysis section of the social science study proposal document or report. The analysis section is going to be short and will not require a lot of typing on your part, but it does require some understanding of how data is analyzed. So I'm going to give you an example first of how the data is collected, and then you can I'll help you kind of think about how you can address putting it or typing it into this section. Okay, so let's start with a survey. Remember, you're going to give a survey to your one of your fictional groups of people that are at your fictional location that are dealing with your topic, your problem. Okay. And so in this case, this example deals with trying to make improvements in English 112. And the survey would then be given to students in English 112 in a face-to-face class. And so the first one says the English 112 classroom is a healthy learning environment. And the students are going to rate these and agree or disagree, it would be neutral, whatever. I have productive relationships with other students in English 112. Strongly agree, whatever. So they are going to answer their questions. And in this case, for the example, I just did 4. But they're going to rate these. What you then want to do as a social scientist, if you were doing this for the class, to solve whatever the problem is to improve English 112, because you figured out from the academic literature that English 112 needs improvement. You would then collect these surveys from all of your students, and you would go, okay, here's statement number 1. Where did people fall on this? Do most people agree with this statement? Do most people disagree, or are they neutral? Right? You want to be able to calculate and figure out, well, how many people had which rating for that question. So what you do is then you go, okay, I've got these people, this number of people. I'm just saying 3, but you could do you could survey 50 people, 50 students. And you go, okay, well, person number 1 gave this a rating of 4, which is agree. And person number 2 gave this a rating of 2, which is disagree. And person number 3 gave a 5, right? And you then would do that for each question, for each statement. Statement 2, 3, 4, however many statements you had. So I'm just going to give numbers at random, right? 1, 2, 3 sounds nice. And how about a 5, 4, 3, whatever. 5, 4, 2. Something like that. And what you want to do then is calculate the average of the response for each statement. The mean average, okay? Not the median, not the mode, the mean. And you might be going, okay, what's that mean? Well, to calculate the mean average, add up the total number for each statement and divide it by the number of people who responded to that statement. Okay. So I'm going to go statement 1, 4 plus 2 is 6, right? Plus 5 is 11. So that's the total number for that statement. It overall has a rating of 11, but I need to divide 11 by the number of people who responded to that statement. 3 of them. Okay, so I'm going to do 11 divided by 3. So I'm not very good at doing this in my head, so I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to type 11 divided by 3. Look at that. It's 3 2/3, or 3.66 is the average. Where's my document? Here we go. So my average is a 3.6. That means that for statement number 1, the English 112 classroom is a healthy learning environment. People are above neutral overall, but not quite to the 4 for the agree. So it's on the positive side of things, right? And then I would do the same thing for every other statement. 3 plus 5 is 8, 9, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Oh, everyone feels what rating is a 3? Neutral about having productive relationships with other students in English 112. And as a social scientist, you go, oh crap, well then how can we make that better? Like, how can we change the class to make it so that students feel like they have better relationships with each other, right? And so you do the same thing for each category. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is a 2. Whoa, that's a negative rating for whatever that statement is. And then 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 5 is 11. 11 divided by 3, that one serendipitously turned out to be that, so it's a 3.6 for that. Okay, and so now you're going, okay, but what do I do with this in terms of writing my analysis section? Well, when you come to your analysis section, you're going to explain how you would go about collecting and interpreting the data from the people that you would send the survey to if you were actually giving the survey to them, okay? So you have to explain then this process of how you collect it. Are you collecting physical surveys from them? Are you collecting a digital survey like that was emailed? Okay. And how will you represent the data? Are you going to put it in a table? Does that seem to make the most sense to show someone the results? Or does it make more sense to graph them? And you need to explain how you will calculate the mean average for each question. So in other words, that process that I just went through right there, and I walked you through it, you're going to type that out of like how you would calculate the mean average. And then you need to address how this data will help you answer your research question. Now notice, you aren't actually presenting data because again, you aren't actually going and surveying people. You are pretending that you are going to give this survey to your group of people. However many people it was, maybe you chose, like I had 1,200 prisoners or something, so I would have to divide everything by 1,200 prisoners, right? If you're going to survey 20 people at Dollar Tree, then you're going to have to divide it by 20 because that's the amount of people that you're surveying, okay? So that's how you do the quantitative survey analysis section, that first paragraph. In the second paragraph, you're going to describe how you will analyze the interviews. So let me show you an example again. Let me come back to here. So, and I'm still dealing with the same topic, how to improve English 112, right? And so I've written out questions that are open-ended. I should point out, by the way, notice again, the Likert scale statements, they were statements, not questions. They were simple. They were things that people can rate their preferences on, okay? Nothing was loaded. I didn't give any sort of bias, misleading sort of thing to lead information to lead someone to a certain choice. I also didn't have a double barrel statement, that is where there's two different possible statements for them to rate and get mixed up on, okay? But down here, I do the same thing. I have questions now, and they're open-ended, like how has English 112 affected your writing skills? That's an open-ended question because it is not a simple yes or no answer, right? Someone has to respond at length in response to this. It's also not loaded and it's also not double-barreled. How have your interactions with your classmates affected your ability to learn the English 112 course material? Again, open, not loaded, not double-barreled, and I've got another one. So like these are my questions and you're going to have 10, but I've just done 3. And person 1 is going to answer those 3 questions and person 2 is going to answer those 3, right? And what you would do if you're doing an interview is you would probably have a recorder, like a tape recorder or a video recorder even, and then you would transcribe everything that that person said in response. You would actually write it out word for word. Or you could also use a transcription service that actually takes what a person says in the room and types it out. But you will have a word for word response of whatever the person said there. That's how this would work if you were interviewing people. And then you go, okay, well, how do I get data from that? So similar to what we did in the Likert scale survey, question number 1, what you do is you go to every answer for question 1. Person 1 said this. Person 2 said this to the same question. Person 3 said this. Person 4, however many. And you look for common words or phrases or ideas. And you make note of those. So the question is, how has English 112 affected your writing skills? Maybe I saw that in a common theme or a common phrase that came up was that people said that learned more about the disciplines, or maybe learned to write in MLA style, or learned the difference between MLA and APA style. It could be a number of things, right? So there could be like 3 common different answers to question number 1, and you would do the same thing for question 2, 3, and 4, all the way through 10, because 10 is like the limit that you're asking. Now, themes are repeated, overarching ideas that relate to a specific question or topic. And so you need to think, what are the themes that emerge from your interviews? Well, these are the themes that emerge from question 1 if I were to survey students, and I would list the themes for question 2 and 3. Now, you would do the same if you were actually interviewing people for your project. You would do the same thing. You would ask them your questions. You would figure out what the common themes are for each question, and you'd write them down. And that is your data, right? That is your qualitative data, because they're telling you their thoughts, their experiences, what they think should happen. Okay? And so you look for commonalities, and you notate how many times those commonalities come up. Like this one might have come up, like, I don't know, if I have 10 people, this might have come up 8 times. And this one might have come up 6 times or something, right? But you want the most common ideas are the themes that for each question. So, okay, what do I do now to actually write about it here? So you're going to describe that process. Address how you plan to determine common themes from the interviews. So you need to explain the very process again that I just explained. So what do you do to get those common themes? Oh, you look at each question, right? You figure out how many times a certain word, phrase, or idea appears for each question amongst your interviewees, the people you interview. And the most common ones are like the most common themes, the most important responses to you for that question. Then determine how you will represent those themes in the study. So you can quote them and place their quotes in a table to show similarities that relate to the theme, or by golly, you can do what I just did and bullet point them like I did, right? So you want to explain that process, and be sure to address how this information will help you answer your research question. Okay, so that's how you conduct the analysis of the data. If you have questions on any of this material, please do not hesitate to contact me.